I really did enjoy Pacific Rim, flaws and all, and I didn't understand why it didn't do any better. The effects were marvelous. You could see the action, and the concept of giant robots versus giant monsters was fully realized. So why did it do well overseas but not stateside? A few arguments I've heard people say were: one, they don't know what the movie's about, which, and this is even after seeing the movie, which is weird because it's clearly stated as giant robots versus giant monsters. Just the visuals from the commercial and just the first couple minutes from the trailer or the movie itself will explain that there's a dimensional rift at the bottom of the sea. It opened up. Huge monsters came out. In order to fight them, we created giant robots. Seems pretty simple to me. Two, the acting is bad. Okay, that's valid. Three, the story is dumb or too simplistic. Okay, granted, but couldn't you say the same things about any Michael Bay film? Why do we give Michael Bay films a pass but didn't give Guillermo Del Toro a pass on Pacific Rim? I think it's because we expect more from him. There's very little substance to any of Michael Bay's films. You know what you're going to get. You're going to get some misogyny, racism, unfunny jokes, quick cut edits, beautifully stylized imagery, fast over-the-top action, cheesy dialogue. Michael Bay seems incapable of creating interesting characters or a good, well-rounded story. I don't believe it's because he doesn't want to. I just believe he doesn't have the skill to. Here are a couple examples: Pain and Gain and Pearl Harbor. I don't believe it's a coincidence that these two films, while they may have made some money, they're the least fondly remembered from his filmography. Looking back at those two movies, I believe that while he does want at times to create good characters and stories, he just lacks the skill to do so. With Guillermo Del Toro, we expect more. He tends to write the movies that he directs, and there are themes in each of his movies that he touches on. His Spanish language films like Kronos, The Devil's Backbone, and Pan's Labyrinth feel more personal and thus more emotionally rewarding. So when he made Pacific Rim and it lacked these things, people were disappointed. If Michael Bay had directed, no one would have had an issue with the weaknesses of the script and acting. Heck, the film probably would have made $1 billion, or at least $700 million. He also co-wrote the Hobbit films, so we have witnessed his skill as a writer on a colossal scale. So to have what came out in Pacific Rim distressed some people. Another issue, other than, say, Warner Bros. Really not promoting the film until the week of its opening, which is odd because most tentpole films start their mass marketing campaign at least a month before the release date, was I believe people wanted to believe the film was going to be more than it was billed as. A port opens up one day and monsters come out and ravage the world, and we create giant robots to fight them. Or to sum it up, giant robots versus giant monsters. And when the audience realized that it was just going for that, there were a lot of people that were disappointed. Like Michael Bay, Guillermo Del Toro just wanted to make a fun and silly action movie. He even said it in interviews leading up to and after the premiere of the film. However, despite what many critics have said about Michael Bay's films, the fact remains. He makes movies that the public wants to see, and Guillermo Del Toro doesn't. They ask for more of an investment, plus his films tend to have an ominous tone or feel in the design and the story. His next film, Crimson Peak, which has been described as a gothic romantic love story, even if it does well, it won't make as much as his highest making film, Pacific Rim, which made only $408 million. So, who's the better director? I suppose it's just a matter of preference. If you want something entertaining that doesn't take itself too seriously, then Michael Bay is the way to go. Here's a couple of Michael Bay films to try. The Rock, it still holds up. And The Island, while it doesn't fully address its themes brought up in the film, it's still fairly entertaining and it holds up some. The lead actors in Pain and Gain are fun also, even though the film itself can't quite equal to the actors. That said, if you want some of those types of films from Guillermo Del Toro, try some of his Hollywood work like Mimic, Blade 2, the Hellboy films, and also, of course, Pacific Rim. And finally, if you want films from either director that is trying for something higher than the typical Hollywood fare, as far as Del Toro goes, try his Spanish films, such as The Devil's Backbone, Kronos, and Pan's Labyrinth. As far as Michael Bay goes, the closest he got was with Pearl Harbor, Pain and Gain, and The Island. So there should be something out there for everyone to enjoy. And until next time, goodbye.